Well, I mean, during this era, now you guys are certified rock stars. You guys are doing arenas. You have giant records. What do you think was like the craziest thing that you guys experienced during this time? What are just like, wow, like we're actually mega stars right now?
The craziest thing we experienced that year, I think, might have been just as music fans and stuff, around the fall of 2012, the Stones were going to do a 50th anniversary show, and we got asked if we'd play on stage with the Rolling Stones. So we started getting phone calls from Mick Jagger to talk about what song we were going to do. We're like, then we find ourselves in New York City, like in a room with the Rolling Stones rehearsing, and it's just like us, the Rolling Stones, and like 3 other people, and they're, you know, we're hanging out with the Rolling Stones. And like, I just remember being so like taken aback that we went through this song, and like I just didn't want to even stay in a room with them because I didn't want to like look like an idiot.
I didn't want to puke on myself.
Yeah, and I was like, I gotta get out of here after we were done. I went up to Keith Richards. I was like, I gotta go to dinner. He's like, yeah. He's like, I don't care what you have to do, just have fucking fun.
Oh yeah, man. Keith Richards is like the ultimate rock star.
Yeah, he is.
That guy, he's still going strong, like in his 80s at this point.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, he was cool.
And the Rolling Stones, I mean, come on, forget about it. I mean, there's very few living bands as iconic right now as the Stones.
Yeah, I don't think there are any.
Yeah. Well, you guys did an interview around this time, and you were asked about streaming services.
Yeah.
And you talked about Sean Parker, who started Napster and was on Spotify. You called him an asshole. You said this guy has $2 billion he made from figuring out how to steal royalties from artists, and that's the bottom line. The idea of a streaming service like Netflix for music, I'm not totally against it. It's just that we won't put all our music on it until there's enough subscribers for it to make sense.
Yeah.
Do you feel, and you know, you hear a lot about this these days, how artists are like, I got 10 million streams and I made $1,000, and this is some bullshit, and we need to pull our music off and sell it ourselves. And it's a balancing act because Spotify has the audience, but the money isn't always there. You know, you fast forward, I mean, this was 2012, so 12 years later. How do you feel about streaming services like Spotify?
Well, the minute, like after that Rolling Stone article came out, Daniel Ek, CEO of Spotify, reached out and wanted to have lunch with me. So I had lunch with him. And, you know, I mean, one of the things he said to me was, I was talking to him about how, like, you know, I mentioned like how you can get Spotify for free, and it just seems kind of, you know, weird that you can not generate any income and provide that. And he basically said, well, as long as YouTube's allowed to do that, then I'm going to do it too. And it became very clear, like, yeah, there's some weird shit going on as far as, you know, clearly Warner Music puts our music up on YouTube and they monetize it and it's a whole thing. But you know, I just feel like the way the model is set up, there was no real discussion with the artists on how it should be modeled, you know. So I do think that streaming, it is clearly the way that people will be consuming stuff, you know, probably permanently, you know. That's how I consume music, you know. But I do think that there's a way to structure the pay where it would be much more fair for artists, and hopefully that's coming, you know. But you know, it is the way of the future, and I do think it just doesn't make sense to me how, like, the basic essence of it is with Spotify, how they can say, you know, a stream pays 0.000 whatever cents, but yet you're paying your $15 a month for the service. It just seems like your stream should be worth something relative to how much you stream and what you stream. It shouldn't just all go into some till and then just spread out based on some arbitrary figure, you know. And so it's also strange to me how they all never show a profit, you know. It's like, but yeah, you know, there's a lot of the music industry is very mysterious and nefarious, and you know, I guess that's also part of the appeal. But I'd like to see it be more fair.
Well, at the Grammys, you guys won three Grammys. You guys won Best Rock Album, huge deal. Lonely Boy won Best Rock Performance and Best Rock Song. Dan, you won the award for Producer of the Year, non-classical. And you were also nominated for that, the next couple of years as well. How did it feel to kind of sweep these categories of the Grammys like that?
It was surreal. Our heads were spinning, man. I mean, I don't think we were truly prepared for it. Even though we'd won a couple, it was just still felt too crazy. But, those few years were really a whirlwind. We never stopped. Yeah. There was just really no time off. Going to the Grammys was just another thing that we did in a completely packed couple of years.
Well, I believe at the Grammys, Patrick, you were asked by a reporter if Justin Bieber feels that he got, should feel that he got burned for not being nominated or invited to perform. And you said, he's rich, right? Grammys are for like music, not for money. He's making a lot of money. He should be happy, I guess. And Justin Bieber responded. He had 34 million followers at the time on Twitter. He said, the Black Keys drummer should be slapped around.
Yeah. I don't disagree with that statement about the Black Keys drummer getting smacked around, but I would probably rather Dan and I get to split Justin Bieber's money than us have the Grammys. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
Yeah, we'll trade the Grammys for the money. But the best part about that was it was like at the height of that of the anti-bullying thing that was like going on. Like that was like a big thing. Like Lady Gaga's like made this way. Like everyone's like, don't bully people, and that like in the height of it, Justin Bieber's like, you should smack this.
Smack that bitch.
Smack that bitch.
Well, you guys responded. You said Justin Bieber, like a fucking irresponsible asshole, sticked his 40 million Twitter followers on me because I paid him a compliment that he'd understand. He shouldn't be fucking telling his followers to slap me, and then also be doing anti-bullying bullshit. It's so irresponsible.
I don't give a fuck. That's why I hate social media, because at the time I felt maybe compelled to tweet stuff. Or now
it's embarrassing.
It's embarrassing. Now I'm hearing that my butthole's tight, so tight. I'm like, why did I ever tweet anything? Sucks.
Fucking embarrassing.
Fucking embarrassing. Yeah, I feel like there's something to that. There's a thrill with the Twitter. You burn someone or whatever, it gets a little addictive. At this point, but that whole interaction, I will tell you, that whole thing, it made me absolutely petrified of Twitter, because I realized it had that power. It could like turn you out and pull you in. I don't even scroll through it for any reason, and it's been 11 years.
Oh yeah, man! Those Bieber fans, those believers, are no joke. They'll go and swat your house, call the police on you, like the whole night.
It wasn't the Bieber fans. It was just the whole. It was more me feeling like getting something out of it. I was getting something out of it, and I was like, "This is kind of gross." Like I was like into the attention, you know what I mean? And I was like, "This is." I'm not really all about this, actually.
Okay, so 2014, next album comes out, Turn Blue. You guys work on the album with Danger Mouse, again, who co-produced and co-wrote the whole album. You guys actually announced the album, this is a weird one, on Mike Tyson's Twitter account. And it wasn't a normal announcement, it was like a hypnotist.
Yeah.
You guys are really left field. First you got the security guard dancing, now you got Mike Tyson announcing your album with the hypnotist.
Well,
it's unique. I mean, it's original, I'll give you that.
Well, if you hang out with our friend Harmony Korine too much, insane ideas start to make a lot of sense to you. We were kind of going a little bit deep into that. I think we thought it was so weird it would be.
We let Mike use one of our songs for a documentary that he was producing.
Yeah.
So he kind of owed us a favor, and we used it pretty quickly.
Yeah. We used it immediately.
Yeah.
Well, we had done this thing with El Camino where we announced we announced the album in the used car ads in the Akron Beacon Journal newspaper. And it kind of worked. Like someone had saw this Easter egg and like it kind of worked. And so we kind of tried to do the same thing with the Mike Tyson on a bigger scale, but I think it just freaked some people out. I had no idea what we were talking about.
I mean, did you guys actually know Mike Tyson at the time?
No, but he did call us to thank us. So we spoke to him on the phone. That was really cool. I mean,
he's very cool.
You know, he's an icon. We grew up with Mike Tyson's Punch Out. I mean, he's just larger than life.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I interviewed him.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing, man.
Yeah. Yeah, I pissed him off actually during the interview. He kind of got angry in the middle of the interview, and we were doing the interview in an actual boxing ring at his gym.
Yeah.
And having an angry Mike Tyson and being in a boxing ring with him at the time, and you know your security's not going to get to you in time if he lunges at you. That was a moment.
How do you feel about that fight they just announced?
Oh, with Jake Paul. Ah, man. I mean, all my boxing friends are telling me that Tyson's going to knock him out, but we'll see. What do you think? Who you got your money on?
I think we all will pay to watch that. So
yeah, well, it's going to be on Netflix. Should be free.
All right, cool.
Okay, now that album, Turn Blue, actually debuted at number 1.
Yeah.
So you guys are having this ascent from 14 to 3. And, I mean, listen, I don't care what anybody says. Having a number 1 album, that is no easy feat.
Yeah.
So how did it feel to actually have a number 1 album? Out of all the albums, the number 1 album in the country?
Well, I feel like we've had to work hard for everything that we've gotten, including that number 1. Because at the time, we were up against some Michael Jackson compilation album.
Right, Escape.
Yeah, I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
The state was cashing in on some shit or something, but all I know is that it looked like we were going to have the number 1, and then the night before, like 20,000 extra sales came in or something for the Michael Jackson thing, and so I got a call from our manager being like, it doesn't look like it's going to happen. And I was like, no one buys 20,000 albums like randomly. You can tell the trend, you know what I mean? And I was like, Warner, everybody got in there, Billboard started auditing that shit, and they found out that most of those sales came from some Michael Jackson Vegas show where they were packaging the album with the ticket. And so they discounted all those. They're basically giving you the album if you bought a ticket, which is illegal. So they threw them all out, and we got our number 1, which is good because now we never need to get another number 1. We had our one little moment where it could happen, and we got it. But now, unless you're streaming, unless you have some song that streams billions of times in a month, that window might have been gone. Because back then people were still buying physical stuff because iTunes was still a thing. People would still buy the record on iTunes.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, you guys commented on the whole Michael Jackson situation. You said some fucking bullshit. That sucks so bad that it took them 3 years after he died to make it listenable. Like he had to be dead for 3 years for it to be released. The album was put into production because Elliot Reed needed to buy a new boat. Well, I love you guys, man. You guys are like the 50 Cent of the rock world. You guys will diss anybody, alive, dead, whatever. Anyone could get it.
We were just butthurt. We were mad. We didn't think it was fair. It wasn't fair. And, they overturned it in the end.
It isn't fair. But I just read that Michael Jackson made the most expensive album ever made.
Mm.
I forget which one it was, but it was like with the recording was $30 million, which is insane. That was like 30 years ago. Imagine what that is now. It's like $100 million. That's like the worst thing you could ever spend your money on is a $100 million album.
Well, in 2015, you guys were performing in France. And how do you pronounce it? The Batatian Theater Massacre happened?
Dan was performing there with his band, the Arcs.
Yeah, at the Bataclan. Yeah, the
Bataclan Theater Massacre.
Yeah, I was there that night. You know, I had a side project that I was touring with called the Arcs, and we were in a theater that was the exact same size as Bataclan. We had the same promoter. I was originally booked at the Bataclan, and then the promoter said he switched us a couple months before the show, put us in this different theater, just because he thought I'd like the theater better, the way that it looked. And but I remember we played an amazing show, and then after the set, we walked backstage, and like everyone looked down. You know, I was like, what's going on? And they told us what was happening, and there were security guards at the doors. They shut down the whole venue. They locked all the doors. They had police escort us to the bus, and we took off directly for Italy that night and just left the country immediately. It was insane. You know, we were just sitting in this backstage room after the show, and you could just hear the sirens in the the night air in Paris. It was very surreal.
Well, yeah, 130 people got killed.
Yeah, and we knew those guys on stage, and the drummer who was on stage from Nashville, friend of Pat's,
And our European merch guy, Nick, was killed that night.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man, it was a horrible situation. You know, one of the guys that was killing people blew himself up, and it was a massacre. It was sad, and you guys talked about how really you had almost survivor's remorse about the situation because you could have played that venue.
Yeah, I mean, I probably, didn't even really know how badly it affected my subconscious. I know that I didn't go tour Europe for a very long time afterwards. How long had it been? Like,
yeah, Dan, 8 years until he went back.
Yeah. I don't know. But, we just played 2 nights in Paris not too long ago, and they were the absolute best shows of the whole tour.
Yeah.
The fans were going ape shit.
Yeah.
Just like old school, like just people surfing, crowd surfing and shit. It was very fun,
Yeah.